entries. Launch teams are not working any issues right now that would prevent us from launching on time at 8:56 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. Currently, forecasters are still calling for a 70% chance of good weather at launch time. Managers and engineers are directing and monitoring Endeavour's countdown on Kennedy's Launch Pad 39A from about 3 miles away in firing room number 4 in the Launch Control Center. The team you can see here has been on station and ready to begin the tanking process. Endeavour's launch tomorrow will be the second shuttle flight this year, and as it turns out, it'll be the second to last space shuttle flight ever. And the last mission for Endeavour. Space Shuttle Program managers met about half an hour ago, and the mission management team gave unanimous approval to go ahead with the fueling operations for Endeavour's external tank. That's scheduled to begin at 11:36 p.m. At that time, teams will begin the process of loading about 535,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen into the tank. This procedure is known as tanking, and it takes about 3 hours to fill the 154-foot tall external tank with those two super cold propellants. And those are used to fuel the shuttle's 3-minute engines during the 8.5-minute climb into orbit. At the tanking meeting about half an hour ago, no major issues were discussed. A couple of things were brought up, including 3 Tyvek covers on the outside of the very top part of the shuttle, the forward reaction control system. 2 had blown off in the breezy conditions earlier, and you can see them kind of flapping around in the breeze. 1 still holding on. It's not considered, obviously, a debris issue because they're designed to come off. Those covers, Tyvek, the brand name you'll sometimes see on construction sites. They're intended to protect the reaction control systems. Little tubes that are there that could act like little cups if rain took place. But of course, no rain is in the forecast, so it's not an issue, and they're not a debris issue, so it turns out it's just not a problem. We'll just show these flopping Tyvek covers from time to time. The only issue that weather-wise, with the 70% chance of good weather for tomorrow morning, is still the possibility of low clouds around launch time and breezy conditions with the possibility of a crosswind at the shuttle landing facility. In the unlikely event that the shuttle would need to make an emergency landing back here at the Kennedy Space Center, called a return to landing site maneuver, take place 20 minutes after launch, again in that unlikely scenario. The transoceanic abort landing weather. There are 3 TAL sites, as they're called. Zaragoza, Spain is the primary one for this one, and weather's looking really good for that, so that's all that's needed. We're about 2.5 minutes away from resuming the countdown. This is the second launch attempt for Endeavour's STS-134 mission. On April 29th, the launch was scrubbed about 3.5 hours before liftoff because of an issue associated with the shuttle's hydraulic system. One of 2 redundant heaters on the fuel line for Endeavour's auxiliary power unit number 1 wasn't working, and that prompted the scrub. The shuttle has 3 redundant auxiliary power units, also called APUs, that are used to control various hydraulic power systems, such as the shuttle's aerosurfaces, like the wing elevons, the rudder, tail fin, and speed brake, and systems such as the engine nozzles and landing gear brakes. The heaters keep the fuel for the APU from freezing while it's in orbit. After the scrub, technicians began an engineering investigation to determine what caused the heaters to fail. Technicians determined that the most likely failure was inside a power distribution switch box in Endeavour's aft compartment and the associated electrical wiring connecting that switch box to the heater. The faulty power box was replaced, and technicians installed and tested new wiring that bypasses that suspect wiring. And after retesting, they confirmed the heater system is working properly, and as are all the other systems powered by that switch box. We'll see heater data during tanking overnight. As the aft compartment cools down, the heater does activate. And this time we'll also switch over to the second heater to be sure that both heaters on APU number 1 fuel line are working. All this gives managers confidence that we will not see the heater issue again during this launch count, but of course, launch controllers will be watching those systems closely overnight. And we're about 40 seconds away from resuming the countdown. There are 7 built-in holds for 73 hours and 54 minutes of countdown time that started at the T-minus 43 hour point, and that began at 7 a.m. Eastern on Friday. When we come out of the hold, that's also the scheduled time to begin the tanking process, which begins with chill down or cooling of the pipes that will carry the 535,000 gallons of propellants into Endeavour's external fuel tank. We're ready to come out of the hold in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're at T-minus 6 hours and counting. Let's take a second now to look at the STS-134 mission. Now a 16-day flight to the International Space Station. Endeavour 6 veteran astronauts will deliver and install a particle physics detector and a cargo carrier with spare parts on the outside of the space station. The crew will also make 4 spacewalks, the last ever to be carried out by space shuttle astronauts. Let's take a second now to look at the STS-134 mission.
The crew of Space Shuttle Endeavour's STS-134 mission will deliver the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer 2, or AMS, and the Express Logistics Carrier 3, or ELC-3, to the International Space Station. The AMS experiment is a state-of-the-art particle physics detector that will help advance knowledge of the universe and its origin. AMS will be attached to the station's S3 truss segment. The ELC-3, containing 2 S-band antennas, a high-pressure gas tank, spare parts for the 2-armed robot Dexter, will be attached to the station's P3 truss segment for future use. During Endeavour's planned 2-week flight, crew members also will make 4 spacewalks to upgrade and equip parts of the space station's exterior. The STS-134 mission is the final scheduled flight for Endeavour.
And we're now back live looking at pictures of Launch Pad 39A and Space Shuttle Endeavour. We have officially begun the tanking process. It started on time at 11:36 p.m. Eastern. Chill down of the pipes associated with filling the external tank. Liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen began on time at 11:36 p.m. Eastern. Both the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen tanks are held on propellant storage facilities on the launch pad. Of course, in the dark of night here, you will not be able to see those overnight, but believe me, they're there. These vessels actually are huge vacuum bottles. The liquid oxygen tank is actually 900,000 gallons. That's used as the oxidizer for the shuttle's main engines. Liquid oxygen is stored at minus 297 degrees Fahrenheit. There are 2 pumps that supply about 1,200 gallons of oxidizer per minute. You can see those pumps right now, starting their warm-up process. They actually transfer the liquid oxygen from the storage tank on the pad into the shuttle's external tank. On the liquid hydrogen side, that storage tank on the launch pad is about 850,000 gallons. It stores the minus 423 degrees Fahrenheit liquid hydrogen. Pumps are not required for that propellant. As the hydrogen is loaded, the first small amount of liquid hydrogen vaporizes, and this action creates a gas pressure at the top of the tank that actually moves the extremely light fuel through the transfer lines. So no pumps are required for the liquid hydrogen side of